What's the best bit of my show? It's when you get in touch. I just love your emails because you always put the record straight. And so let's get straight to it. On climate change, Derek says, Mark, I doubt we can stop climate change as it will carry on until our sun dies and Earth becomes a dead frozen ball spinning in space looking for its own black hole. That's poetic, isn't it? It's also erotic, but let's move on. Family show. It's the Lord's Day. Behave yourselves. Now, Derek goes on, maybe the Almighty will try again without the encumbrance of Adam and Eve. Too much hassle? There you go. What a great email. Derek, thanks for that. Also, we've got Steve. Mark, the future is not electric cars. With all of the future waste that batteries produce and a shortage of minerals, it's hydrogen with no waste products that we should pursue. Yeah, and I agreed with Simon earlier, Simon Danchuk, about nuclear as well. Ed, what about China's coal-fired power stations? Let's not kid ourselves. Our contribution to climate change is like farting against the north wind. You're very poetic tonight, you lot. Lefties, says Gareth, love to say investment and invest, but they never say malinvestment, which is the sum total of where we are now. Mark, when I voted Conservative, says Philip, I didn't approve of everything in the manifesto. Net zero, for example. Anne Widdecombe is spot on with her comments. She reflects my opinions. As for your Labour guy, why the hell should we be leading the way and setting an example? Never understood that argument. Philip, in the beautiful town of Bournemouth. And last but not least, on nurses, Isabella is putting me straight, which is what I love. Isabella says nurses are having their job descriptions changed, doing work that is at least a grade above them. Also, teachers that are in the job the same amount of time as a staff nurse get 10,000 more than nurses. So she's saying teachers get more in relative terms. Police also have higher starting wages and do not need to go to college beforehand. They are, in most cases, doing work of 2 or more nurses. They are so short-staffed. Doctors are putting more of their patients onto the nurses in GP surgeries. Nurses have families to keep too. MPs get rises of 11%. For what? There you go. Isabella putting the record straight and bigging up the nurses. Thanks for that, Isabella. Keep those emails coming, mark at gbnews.uk. Reacting to the big stories of the day, my all-star panel, TV presenter, celebrity chef and best-selling author Tonya Buxton, leading research analyst and writer Dr. Rakib Ehsan, and political consultant and journalist Emma Burnell. Now, the Times report that millions of middle earners will be more than $3,500 poorer because of plans by Rishi Sunak for a stealth raid on income tax that will last, wait for it, at least 6 years. The PM and Jeremy Hunt, the Chancellor, are thought to have agreed to extend until 2028 a freeze on income tax thresholds that has been due to end 2 years earlier. The agreement came at a meeting on Monday to discuss how to plug the £35 billion gap in public finances. The Times point out that tax thresholds at a time of high inflation drag millions more workers into paying more tax every year because a greater share of their wages are pushed into the higher brackets, a stealth tax known as fiscal drag. In other words, we are all sleepwalking into a tax nightmare. So it begs the question, are the Tories killing aspiration? Emma, the answer is yes.
Yes, I mean, the answer is yes, but I wouldn't necessarily say the answer is yes because of a particular measure on income tax. I think the Tories have been killing aspiration in a number of different ways for a really long time. They've been in charge for 12 years, and we have an economy that works for almost nobody. We have an almost complete inability for a generation up to the age of about 40 now to get onto the property ladder. We
started under Blair?
Absolutely. I am not going to make any excuses. More houses? We should have absolutely. The Labour government should have built a lot more houses. I have said this to them repeatedly. I said it then. I'll say it now. I'm not going to come on here and be a pure cheerleader or apologist for Labour either. We got a lot of things wrong. I'd like to see us get some things right in the future. That's my role is to be that agitator for the Labour Party and to tell them when I think they're getting things wrong. I think it's really, really important that when we talk about aspiration, we think about the kind of country we want to be, not just the kind of people, what we personally aspire to. I have my own dreams. What I would like to see is a world in which... Sorry?
Maserati.
Oh, God, no. I've got a 4KA and I'm really happy with it.
Hot tub, Rolex.
Such a Dolan
bit
thing.
Of bling.
Yeah.
Sorry, just for...
I've sold out my most recent place. My biggest aspiration now is a bigger theatre, darling.
Yeah, no, you're a great writer and performer as well, yeah.
But to be honest, what I'd like to see is the kids in my neighbourhoods have the ability to do what they dream of doing. And for a lot of that, those are very simple dreams. They want a good job that they can rely on, that will give them a decent standard of living. They want to be able to live in a house with some security. That might be in terms of building much more social housing, but also making sure more people can get on the property ladder. It means investing and putting government backing to the kinds of industries that will have a 100-year future, not a 5-year future.
Don't say investing. Gareth doesn't like that. Lefties love to say investment.
I am a lefty, Gareth, and I'm going to talk about investing. So, you know, I'm here to annoy you personally, Gareth. That's my job.
Yeah, you've been choosing your own words for a few years now. Tonya, what do you think about this? Are the Tories taxing aspiration?
Yes, they are.
Do they have any choice?
Yes, they do. They could really do something phenomenal, do something maverick and just change everything. You know, I really believe that...
Did they try that, by the way, about 4 weeks ago in the budget?
They did, actually, but what can we say? But my thing is that we know that, you know, if you tax the rich, the super rich, the very rich, all they do is get really, really clever lawyers that mean that they don't pay the taxes anyway. So I would like to see a society where we're all on the same tax. Everyone pays, 20% tax.
That's a great
across
idea.
the board.
Flat rate.
And then a flat rate across the board, and those that make more money will pay more, and those that don't make as money will pay less. And also, for me, it's all about small businesses. You know, I'm an immigrant's child. You know, if it wasn't for small business, we just wouldn't be here. You know, whether it be corner shops or dress factories or hairdressers or all the kind of bakers and all the things that kind of my people came over and did. Taxing them to death just stops them from wanting to do that. And that's what stops our economy from growing. And that stops us having the money to build houses and do everything that you said.
And, Tonya, it's a double nightmare, which is just a world in which corporations and the state dominate our lives.
Exactly. Well, that's where we're at now. That's where we're at now.
Accelerated by the pandemic. Briefly, Rakib, what do you think? The Tories taxing aspiration? You're very aspirational.
Well, I mean, I think
you're always thinking big, aren't you?
Well, I'd like to think so. But I think that I agree with some of the points that have been raised in terms of... I think one of the most aspirational things about our democracy was the aspiration to own your own home. And the reality of the matter is, I mean, don't blame one particular political party. We simply haven't taken house building seriously in this country. Yeah. And you're looking at these plummeting rates when it comes to fertility. The reality of the matter is that has a bad impact in terms of marriage and having children as well, if there's not a decent supply of family-friendly housing. And you think that a Conservative party, a party supposedly of home ownership, but also family, that sense of that sort of multi-generational cohesion, it's not there. No, housing's at the heart of that.
Exactly right. I think Rakib's put his finger on the button there, which is build, baby, build. Build some bloody houses. How hard can it be? As an earlier emailer said, it's not rocket science.